because one of you was struggling with yourself, whether it was you or her. And I didn't realize it until now. I mean, I knew I was an issue, but I didn't realize where that issue fully lied. And once I kind of hit that point and kind of started realizing what was around, and I mean, the people around you can make or break a lot of things too. I mean, everything comes down to you, but you have to understand what's going on around you.
We rise to the top, can't stop this flow. In the heart of the jungle, we're ready, let's go. In the heart of the jungle, we're ready.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Round Table here with Ben. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro?
It's been a pretty good week. How about
It's been
you?
a hell of a week, man.
Yeah.
Crazy shit happened. Andy.
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
Made my day, man. But no, man, I started thinking. Let's jump right into this one. So,
All right.
you posted something, and I think it was today. You posted, what's his name? Relentless. Mike,
Tim Grover.
Tim Grover. So, you posted a video, but you also posted some notes with it
Yeah, I know what
about
you're
happiness
talking
and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff, right? It got me thinking. I was like, a lot of times we talk about, having a community to kind of be there for each other. We're there for each other and our wives and all that different stuff. But it got me thinking. I was like, I think the first step is like loving yourself
100%.
and, not expecting anybody else to lift you up or be there for you. I mean, we know that people are there, but that being the first step. And I wanted to get your take on that, like where that sits with you and how you look at those things, like how you have to love yourself and show up for yourself first before ever expecting anybody else to show up for you.
I mean, you have to. I'm still really new to the whole thing. Like, really new. Like, 3-4 weeks, maybe. Like, I've been trying to work on loving myself more and figuring out who I am and finding the happiness inside of me. That has been probably one of the harder things to do, to find that balance, especially when you have kids, a wife, friends, and you have so much going on in the background between work and family and trying to balance everything out, because it's a word that's really hard to like actually do. Balance is hard to do. And it's really hard to be happy for yourself when everybody else is unhappy around you for whatever reason. Doesn't matter if it's because kids are bugging your spouse or whatever. That's been the hardest thing for me, is being able to be like, look, I still deserve to be happy even though you're not happy with the kids. And it's hard because I want to be everything, but I can't. And showing up for myself, doing some things like I'm really contemplating getting on testosterone replacement therapy, which is something for me. Mm-hmm. Granted, I have to worry about the cost to fill it with the family, make sure that it works for our budget wise. But even just taking the step and being like, well, I'm going to go get my blood drawn was 100% for me. And I'm like, I'm taking the action and I'm doing it. Or doing my hair more. Like, she's like, yeah, go get your hair cut. I'm like, all right, well, and then, talk to the barber and he's like, this will be easier to maintain, keep up and take care of. I'm like, cool, then do it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, shit, it feels good to do my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, I'm going to do something for me. Yeah, it costs me some money, but makes me feel good. Just like, I'm like, okay, you want to go get your hair done. You want to go, whatever you want to do, go do it. Makes you feel happy, do it. Because that's what's going to bring the happiness around you. Mm-hmm. And I'd heard, I'm a Leo, and I'd heard that and I was talking to one of my friends, and he's like, yeah, as a Leo, you either command the energy in the room or you drain the energy in the room. And I'm like, just thought back to a lot of the times I'm like, I might not have fully killed energy in the room, but there's times that because of who I am and how I put myself out there, that it affected the way my wife and I interacted, or maybe some of our friends weren't quite the same. And it might not be just me, but if I can bring more of my own happiness and energy to it, it does seem to be a lot better. The last few times we've gone and done a few things, and it's like, and I'm happier being there. Mm-hmm. It's been a lot better experience for everybody involved, especially my wife.
Yeah.
She's the one that notices it more than me, more than anybody else. But being more aware of that, and all of it comes from just wanting to love myself more, because nobody's going to give me happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's told me 1,000 fucking times, I can't be your happiness. And I get it. And I'm like, well, you are, but I'm like, you have a point. The more I think about it, you have a point. I have to be happy for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what the hell happens, the only person I really have is me. Yeah, I have a community of people that are always going to be there. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you kind of have to sit in silence with yourself and really reflect on a lot of things.
Right. Well, I think also too, you hit on something cool there too, right? It's, you talk about the community. You talk about, being able, not people are not always going to show up for you, right? But you, if you're happy with yourself and you're in a good place, you can be that person that people count on you.
Well, and
right. And I say count on, but like when, you still have to love yourself, but you're still always there. Like, oh, I can go to Dustin, man. I know Dustin can hear what I'm saying and help me through some things. And, ultimately, that you have to do it yourself, but you always know that you have that capacity to give to others. Because when you're not happy, like you said, you command a lot of that energy. You take up a lot of that. You soak up a lot of that. And I think especially your family, your kids, your wife, they feed off of that, right? So if you're having a shit day, it's not going to help, when the kids are freaking out and mom's, trying to get shit together, or she wants to just have a good day. And Taylor and I actually talked about that before where, we, for a long time, we were always on opposites.
Yeah.
So either she was really happy and I was in a shitty mood, or vice versa. And for a long time, we lived in that dynamic, and we're like, why can't we just both be happy? Because
one of you was struggling with yourself, whether it was you or her. And I didn't realize it until now. I knew I was an issue, but I didn't realize where that issue fully lied. And once I kind of hit that point and kind of started realizing what was around, and the people around you, can make or break a lot of things too. Everything comes down to you, but you have to understand what's going on around you. Once I started to understand, okay, I might be bringing these people into my life. I want these people in my life. And if I want to be a part of their life and I want them to be a part of mine, being a negative piece of shit's not going to want people to be around me. I don't want that. I want people to be around me because they genuinely want to be around me.
Yeah.
They're happy to be around me. They're happy to message me, talk to me, be there, just hang out with me, whatever. And ever since I've started working more on myself and realizing more, I'm noticing more people are popping in that needed to be there at these times, or I'm seeing more things that I'm like, oh, yep. Just like what spurred this whole conversation was, okay, I needed to see that today because I have been working on being my own happiness. And once I'm my own happiness, the family's happier.
Yeah.
Kids are kids, but the family's happier, the wife's happier, things are better, everything's better. And I actually told a couple of coworkers this, and I was like, I'm a little envious because you show up and you make the best. No matter what the situation is, you make the best of it. And you're laughing and having a good time most all day. And I said, and I realized that a lot of that issue was me. But since I've started working more on myself, I was like, I just want you guys to know that, it's awesome. Like, I'm envious of it, but I'm working towards it. So thank you for kind of showing me that. And we've had some good talks between the three of us, just conversations, and things have gotten better because I'm less bugged by a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's certain things that obviously are still digging at me, but I'm like, you know what? I can't worry about that. I worry about my happiness. I got to worry about what's going to fulfill me, not everybody else.
Yeah.
And so much of the stress and anxiety is kind of gone away. And it's weird. It's weird.
It's not weird.
It's weird because I'm not used to it. Let's put it that way. It's not weird because it's normal. It's how life should be. It's weird because I'm not used to it. It's how life should be.
Yeah.
It's what I want. We've just started talking about things, me and you, and we're already things are lining out. Like you said, you posted it the perfect time that it popped up and you got reshared on a massive platform.
Yeah.
Same thing. And I've gotten messages from, Tim, even just here and there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Likes, share, like I mean, this guy. I mean, they don't know me shit.
I mean, he trained Michael Jordan. He
Yeah.
trained with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, to even
have a comment liked by his page. I mean, if it's him, hell yeah. If it's his publishers, obviously I'm doing something right. If it's whoever runs the social media, obviously I'm hitting something that is in their mind.
Yeah.
But my energy is stronger.
Yeah, it
It's
started with
more
you,
out there.
with
Yeah,
what
it
you're
started
putting
with
out.
me.
Yeah.
Started with my happiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that the last couple of days, and then you posted that, and I was like, oh, we got to talk about this because it is. I know we've talked about it before, but it's just important to do that. It's important to remember that, social media sometimes you can get caught up, right? You get caught up with, seeking validation and waiting for, if you don't get them X amount of likes or views or whatever, you're like, oh, like, do people really resonate with that? Or, am I failing? It's, whatever it might be. So you search for happiness. At least I know I did for a long time through those social media platforms. But then you get to a point where like you just got to be happy, man, to be happy. You got to be, you can't be upset and at the same time as being grateful and having gratitude in your heart and love and really when you lead from those places of love and gratitude, like, man, like come on, like you just got to, you got the control over that. Like there are certain things that are out there that are probably gonna pull you in a certain direction. But I think it ultimately all starts with like you have to have that mindset of like I can control my happiness. I can control how I attack the day, how I react to the things that are going to happen because they're going to happen.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a million times. Like the plan doesn't always go the way we planned it out. We talk about it a million times that this podcast was one of those things, and there's a lot of variety of different things that are going to go on. But we viewed it from a certain standpoint, like we're going to choose to be happy, not take it as like a negative thing. And I think it has to start there. You have to start from like just being okay with who you are and
100%.
being happy with where you are and where you're going. And I don't think it needs to go much further than that. I think if you start there, you can have a good foundation to build off of. And that shit reflects on other people. People will feel that, like you said.
I will say this, and I'm somebody that will flow through emotions a lot. So there have been times that I've texted my wife and we've had good conversations about it. Like, I have a lot of emotions going through me right now. And like the last time she's like, well, what? And I was like, like I've got anger, sadness, grateful, but I have to, and I'm like, but it's not a bad thing. I list a bunch of emotions, both spectrums where you've got the highs and the lows. And I'm like, but it's not a bad thing. I'm like, and the reason that I say this is because when I'm looking at it, I'm taking those, okay, I'm angry because of this, but what do I have to be grateful for? And I kind of balance them out and try to figure out, okay, well, I could continue to sit in this anger, but why? I kind of pick through it and I review it all and go through it all, which in turn, I mean, sitting with myself, I in turn am happier when I'm done with that whole process in my mind. And I do agree. You can't really I'm frustrated, but I'm happy at the same time. But I can feel those feelings. At least this is me personally. I can feel those and I can work through, okay, I'm frustrated with my kids, but I mean, at the same point, I'm very grateful I have my kids. So why am I frustrated about this? That's a dumb reason to be frustrated. Let's throw that frustration away. It doesn't need to be there. Kind of like Inside Out. If you've watched that, where they send the memories down into the, kind of that thing.
Pit or whatever.
Yeah. Send them to the
there,
pit. They're
yeah.
not cores. Send them to the pit, whatever. Kind of thing like that. Okay, well, there's no reason to be frustrated anymore. Okay, now move on to the next one. Why am I mad at him? Okay, same thing. Why? That's dumb. Let's just toss that aside. But if I'm not able to sit with all of those emotions and deal with, okay, I'm happy because I still have my kids. I have a wife. I have a house. I have a job. I have money. I can do this. Okay, so I'm mad because of this petty thing. No, that's stupid. Get rid of that. But I have to be able to feel all of those personally at that specific time to kind of work through it and understand it. But it's the way that I've started evaluating every little bit of my life. Like, okay, why do I feel that way? Why am I acting that way? Okay, but if you continue to act that way, this is going to happen. Oh, well, that's kind of a dumb reason to act that way. So, nah, let's just sweep it under. Because at every point, I am still grateful of everything that I have, but I definitely can feel those emotions and think through them a lot more clear than I ever used to be. Because it used to be that anger would take over everything, but I was like, nah, you can't be pissed about that. I still got to be grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still breathing. I'm still living. I still have great friends.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
still have a
great.
great wife. I still have great kids.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, do I need to sit in that? Hell no. Not worth it.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to process all of them at once. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. A roller coaster. And it's also like, I've heard like emotional intelligence, right? You grow that emotional intelligence muscle by going through those emotions.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to, I think one of the things that, I don't remember if it was Taylor or somebody had told us, like, you can feel those. Like,
Yeah.
feel them, but then move on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's okay to feel sad, right? And I use this for Gamry, and it doesn't really, I mean, I guess it relates to adults too, but it's like, you know, every emotion is accepted, but every action isn't. So essentially, you could be angry, but are you actually gonna reflect? Are you gonna go break a bunch, punch a bunch of walls? You're gonna go storm off and do, those are the things that you can control.
Every action has an equal or opposite reaction.
Exactly.
Which is something I've
but you
worked
get to
very
choose.
hard on. Yes.
You get to choose that happiness or that ability, and it sounds like you've gone through those emotions, and feeling them's okay. Like you said, it's just how you react to those and what behavior action comes out of those. And if it's like, okay, I'm upset for a second, but then I'm going to move on and try to find a way to regulate this emotion and figure it out. I'm not a fucking therapist. I don't know anything about that, but to me, that's what I hear is when you hear those things, it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, because if you don't feel them, then at some point they're going to come up. Anger's you're going to explode. You're going to be that person that, it's fine one day, and then one day they're just waking out. You're like, what the hell happened? He's always such a nice guy and so happy. Well, it's because
I mean, that was
he's
me.
fake happy, right?
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me. I did that whole scenario over and over again in my head. And it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's really not worth it. Between learning to grow, hitting like a downfall, I'm like, it's just not worth it. Like, why do I want to be angry all the time? I don't. The people that I've been working on manifesting in my life, even without knowing it, or that have been coming into my life without reason, there's a reason, but they're not here because I'm angry. They're here because I'm open, I'm honest, I'm vulnerable now. And my energy's out there that I'm wanting more abundance in my life and everything. And that happiness. And I'm more happy with myself than I ever have been. I mean, I've made the post like 3 or 4 times this week now.
Yeah.
That this is the happiest. And this is just the beginning. Because life is set in a way and it just needs to continue to grow. And I'm the one that's going to control everything in my life.
There you go.
Control how I feel, what I feel, everything.
Exactly.
A roller coaster it's a wild ride, but
Well, you get to choose it, right?
yeah.
It's not a set roller coaster. You get to choose how high you go and how low you go.
Yeah.
Or how parallel straight, all along that path you get to go. You get to find your equalizer. And yeah, you're doing a good job with that, man. So
I
proud
appreciate
of
it.
you
It's still the
for
beginning.
that. And you're right, 100% right. You attract in, positive energy. It likes positive. We're not gonna, negative shit is gonna come if you're thinking negative. And that's what they always say. I think I've always heard like bad things come in threes, and I think that's because when something bad happens, you start thinking of other negative shit, and it keeps coming. And so the faster you can move on from that and just be like, oh man, like I'm good. That's just the way it is, and I know we're compared to like emotional things, but like, yeah, on, Valentine's, I had a flat tire, took Taylor to work, and all I kept thinking, I was like, I'm grateful that and I took her to work. So, I'm just worried about the weather. And I was like, oh, I'm actually glad that it happened to me because the night before we had a hell of a storm. It took her 3 hours to get home. And so I was like, dang, imagine, like I tried to go out in the Challenger and it didn't work out. I had to turn around and come back home. And so for me to be able to get to her, she was pretty far. I was like, that would have sucked. If she would have had it, she would have freaked out because it was a 1-lane road. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'm glad it happened. And then I went to go get it fixed, came all the way home, and it got flat again. So I had to go back. And then I had other things to run, obviously, to take care of my wife and Valentine's presents and stuff. But through the whole day, I was like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm blessed that I can, have enough money to go do this. I'm glad that it happened to me. I have the time to do it. The kid's fine. She's upstairs working on her homework and stuff. Like, not once did I think like, oh, poor me, poor this. Like, like I was like, I'm happy with like, yeah, it's a shitty situation, but at the end of the day,
What are you
like,
gonna do?
that's like, there's a lot worse things that can happen to me than a fucking flat tire. You know what I mean? So I know may seem like a silly comparison, but I'm like, just those little things. Because I bet you if I would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. Who knows what else would have happened?
Oh yeah.
Who knows? It could have popped on the freeway on my way home and the car could have, wrecked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't, now that I think about it, yeah, all kind of crazy could have broken out. But the faster you can get through those, make just happy with where you're at and what's going on and figure out all that on your own and not, I can't call you or my wife like, oh my gosh, I'm having a crazy day. I got a flat tire. Like I have to find my emotional balance in that moment and figure it out myself because yeah, if I start freaking out, what's that going to do? It's not going to help anybody.
No,
and so
it's not going to do anything.
it's a little weird kind of comparison, but just those little things are the things that I talk about is like those, it's not the major things all the time. It's the little things that add up. And if you just remain positive and find the happiness in the way that you're doing things or the way that you're progressing forward, or even if it's a negative situation or can be looked at as a negative situation, just be grateful for, for the way it's happening. And just know that I've always heard like God will only test you in a certain way that he knows that you can get through it. And so I've always looked at the testaments and the things that have happened in my life as like, I'm built for this and that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm okay. I'm gonna get through it. And so I think when people start looking at life that way, of like, look, you're built for this. It's nothing in that happens in your life where you're not great enough to get through. And, outside of like, crazy things, but even at that point, you still have Krista being a great example. She was always super happy through all the hardships she'd went through. You never saw her like complain. You never saw her like, at least me, I never saw her like sad and like it was like a day and then it was all over. It was back to positive. Don't negative shit around me. Don't, it's all positive because that's true.
I mean, everybody's going to have their downfall. You're going to get sad. You're going to get pissed. But I mean, Andy Frisella said this at one point, and I mean, I wish I could remember the episodes because some of these are great. I want to go back and re-listen. But, he talked about getting in a car wreck, kind of the same thing you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You can let it ruin your whole day or you can let it ruin 10 minutes. Shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, going from Krista to this, it's quite widely different ball game, but
for sure.
At the same point, it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? You can put your best foot forward and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, you're in control of your stuff. You're in control of your emotions. I'm going to put my best foot forward. I mean, I could have had a possible root canal yesterday, and it's like, you know what? It's just got to get done.
Yeah.
But turns out it's something completely different. So I'm like, well, put my best foot forward. Let's just go.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Do what I got to do.
Yep.
And move on. And at the end of the day, oh, well,
yeah.
I'm here. I'm still happy.
Yeah.
They ended up great. We had fun. The girls had fun. They were happy. The wife was happy. I was happy. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, that was my topic, bro. That really was what I wanted to talk about. It was finding the happiness in yourself. And I know that you've really started working hard on that. And so
yes.
I thought it was a great topic for you to hit on and touch base because I can see it. And I think, anybody that's in your life consistently can see that you're making large strides at that. So yeah,
I'm definitely trying. So obviously it's a pretty obvious challenge, guys. Find something that makes you happy. Or if you're struggling with being happy with yourself, go do something for yourself. If you don't necessarily have the money to go get your hair done, whatever, take 20, 30 minutes and go for a walk by yourself. Go, if you have a gym membership, go do something that makes you happy at the gym. Just do something that's going to make you happy. That is selfish, but in order to be selfless, you do have to be selfish.
100%.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, man.
Thank you.